like if you're just getting into polishing, this is gonna be my recommended route just because it's so easy to use. In today's video, I'm gonna touch on the simplest way to get started in polishing your own vehicles. Now, as you can see behind me, there is a Mazda Miata. This is a client, they brought the vehicle in for a ceramic coating and polished out the vehicle, did the whole prep process. And I realized as I was doing that, I was like, man, on my YouTube channel, I get asked so often about polishing cars, which polish to use, and it's a very, very convoluted process because there's so many different polishes out there, so many different pads, so many different polishers. So I'm gonna try and simplify that. I'm gonna talk about 3 different brands here. And then in the end, I'll tell you which one is, in my recommendation, the easiest to start with. Now I'm gonna have all of this time coded right down below. So if you don't care about one section, skip ahead to what applies to you. All right, guys, so first off, let's go ahead and talk about polishers. There are a number of polishers out there. There's rotary, which just spin kind of like a drill, right? Just spinning in one rotation. Then you get into the dual action polishers, similar to this guy here. So it spins freely, and then it's also geared in a certain way. So when it basically creates this type of motion, and it kind of mimics what your hand will do. Very, very easy to work with, extremely easy. You don't have to worry about too much when you're using that, about leaving holograms or anything like that. So I always recommend start with the dual action polisher, whether it be an 8mm throw, 15mm throw, 21, or in the instance of the DIY detail polisher, this is a 25mm throw. Now, what do all those numbers mean? So I showed you where it just spins freely, right? The amount that it actually orbits around that little spindle, the amount that the pad will actually do this little shimmy around, that's the orbit. So we talk about an 8mm, it's an 8mm offset where the pad goes like this. If we go to a 15, it goes slightly more. 21, slightly more, and 25, even more than that, right? The reason for that and the benefit of having a longer throw is that the compound and the pad are gonna be working even harder because they're gonna have longer travel on the surface of your paint. So you get more work out of it. The downfall, and why I've always recommended a 15mm for beginners especially, is because you do get that faster work time, but it's still easier to manage. Sometimes when you go into the larger orbit things, they'll stall on certain panels or they're just kind of harder to get into areas. Now, I don't want to get too deep into the polishers, but just know that I've tested in the past a 15 to a 21. The 21 corrected faster because of that longer orbit, longer throw. The 25, I've been playing with this thing a lot. I haven't tested it side by side in a test, but anecdotally from my experience, this thing is correcting faster than the 21s. Okay, so now let's move on to the polishes and pads. That can get very, very convoluted, and I want to try and simplify this as much as possible. We're going to talk about 3 different brands because all 3 of these kind of do a good job of simplifying everything. Number 1 is going to be Koch Chemie. The reason I say that they do a good job of simplifying this is because they color code their products. H902, this is their heavy cut compound, pair it up with the red pad. So you have the red border on this, red pad, that's your combo. Now you can get into interchanging these, but again, basic, simple stuff. Red goes with red. Yellow is their fine cut or kind of in between step between the red and their finishing. Typically, you don't have to use the red and the yellow. You can either go red and then straight to the finishing because that product finishes out so well, or yellow straight to the finishing, just depending. But yellow goes with yellow, and then purple goes with purple. So this is their fine polish or a micro cut pad and their micro cut polish. This is the finishing stage. So again, typically with this system, even though there's 3 colors, you can typically only do 2 steps. Next up, we're going to talk about Rupes. Rupes is famous for making their polishers, and they have a compound and pad solution as well. They do go into wool pads also, but for this simple case, we're just going to talk about the 2 that come, like if you buy a full kit, you get a sample of it, and that is their DA Coarse and their DA Fine. I believe that's what they're called. But it's basically a blue and a yellow. Again, pairs up with the pads, blue compound with the blue pad, yellow compound with the yellow pad. And now, finally, we're going to talk about the last one, and that is going to be DIY Detail's system. And I think, man, I have no affiliation with DIY Detail other than that Ivan and Nick are friends of mine. I met them. They're great guys. And this is a very, very, very interesting combo. So when they first released this thing here, this is, I call it the humpback. It's battery power on the back. Usually they're on the end here. The reason they developed this, Ivan developed this whole thing, and it is extremely, extremely balanced when you used it. I'm really, really enjoying using this thing. Again, giant 25mm orbit. And my biggest question is, as a mobile detailer, a lot of times I'm out working and I put my polisher down on the ground on its back to keep the pad safe. I had Ivan in the shop recently. We were doing my F250 together. I asked him, hey, what about that? And he said, no worries. You put it down on the battery. It kind of just leans up like this and you're totally safe. One other question was, the battery is all just a plastic housing. Some companies will have a little bit of a rubberized texture. He said, I did not want to do a rubberized texture, and there was a great point to that. He said, with a rubberized texture, you do put it on the ground, potentially can pick up a little pebble. Then you pick up the polisher, maybe there's a little pebble on there, right? Stuck into that rubber. You start working, it falls off onto the paint. You could have serious issues. So really cool that he really thought through there. So no padding on the battery. That is the reasoning. You have your nice rubberized grip on the end, but that's it. Now, as far as their polishing pads and compound polish go, extremely easy. And guys, this is gonna be, like, if you're just getting into polishing, this is gonna be my recommended route just because it's so easy to use. We basically have three options here. We have a wool cutting pad. Here, let me pop these open. We have a wool cutting pad. So a nice short napped wool pad, specifically made for the DA, okay? So we have that. Then we have their yellow kind of polishing pad. And I can't remember if they call this the gold standard. I can't remember the name, but it's just a nice density, kind of your all-around workhorse. This thing's gonna work really, really well for most things. For example, on this car, I used all three of these. So number 3 though is this guy here, and this is their red jeweling pad, meant to be used with a rotary. I still use this on a DA and I love it because it's such a soft texture. Really, really easy for that final, final go over. I really, really like it for that as well. So yes, it's even in the name, it states rotary jeweling pad. I personally still use it on a DA and I really like it for that. On the car behind me, I actually used all 3 of these. There were some deeper scratches on this thing and went to the wool pad. Then I went ahead and did a full pass, full go over of the vehicle with the yellow pad. And then for my final stage, because I was ceramic coating it, I used their APP, which is a adhesion promoting polish, on a small orbit with the jeweling pad, just as a final step. The reason I like their system though is because, look, with other ones, we're matching the color of the compound or polish with the pad. This one, it's all one polish. Gold standard polish, sprayable, which is, we'll talk about why that's awesome as well here in a second. But the main reason I like that it's one product throughout the whole entire range is, for example, if I'm using H902, right, from Koch Chemie, which is I love this stuff, guys. When you get into the more professional level and you're fine tuning those instances where you need something specific, their products are amazing. I will state though, the DIY stuff I haven't had, and like if that was all I had, I think I'd be good. I haven't had any issue where I came across where I was like, man, I really need something else. But I've used Koch Chemie stuff for a long time now. I switched over from Meguiar's 110, 210, 105, 205, those types of polishes and compounds over to this, and this has been night and day. This stuff's so good. So, but when you are using these, and say you go over the whole vehicle with this one, you use a microfiber to clean it up, then you're done. That microfiber is getting tossed to the side. I'm not using that one again to wipe out the car because it has different abrasives than this one. So I don't want to pick up any abrasive here, go to here, and then introduce any leftover, more aggressive compound, and then go over that with my finishing, just because potentially you could cross-contaminate stuff. I don't want to do that. With the DIY system, it's really, really cool because I can go from this on a wool pad, do my pass, take the microfiber, clean it up, switch over to the yellow pad, boom, apply it, same microfiber towel, as long as it's not saturated, as long as it's still picking up the polish well, keep using that, and it's fantastic. It just simplifies the process and you're still able to get heavy cut all the way to a really fine, extreme finish. Again, this car came out phenomenal. This was the polishing process that I used on it, and the results speak for themselves. Now, another reason I like the spraying polish. Typically, when you use a polish, on average, like you add 3 drops or 3 pea-sized drops, but a big part of it is you want to prime the pad. You want to get the compound or polish all over the place so you don't have dry spots as you go to work on the paint. The cool thing about the DIY sprayable gold standard polish, this pad is completely stained, guys. This is what we worked with on my F250 with. The paint was completely oxidized, so that's it. But let me go ahead and show you how to apply this. If you guys have seen DIY detail videos, then you're gonna know already. But it is very simple. I put it to about speed 3. Go ahead and turn it on, and I spritz in 1. Boom. Okay? Now, the entire pad is saturated with the compound. With that speed, it covers everything, gives you a nice distribution, essentially primes the pad for you right away. Sorry guys, it's a little bit hard to see on this, but it is all the way around, and it just works phenomenally well. So I am a believer in this stuff. I had not used any of their polishing products up until I bought this polisher because I wanted to review it and test it out and see. Again, the look of it is so different that I really wanted to see where they were going with it. And again, it makes sense to me. It's very comfortable in the hand as you're working. And the larger orbit, the 25 millimeter orbit, is phenomenal. Would I recommend this to a brand new beginner? Yeah, so like we talked about before, stalling can be an issue with the larger orbit machines. This one doesn't have a lot of stalling issue. The way the counterbalance weight is on it is done extremely well, and I don't get a lot of stall. The only problem, and it's not even a problem, it's something you have to get used to. I was talking to Ivan about it, and he uses a 25 for everything. Getting into tighter spots, it's just something you have to get used to. I'm still working on that, but again, I was using a 15 for so long that I'm used to that amount of movement in the pad, and I can get up there and have no problem. With the larger orbit, larger throw, sometimes it wants to bang into things, so I tend to stay back a little bit, but it's just something you can get used to. They have this is the battery operated version, which I love. I love battery powered polishers. They're fantastic. You don't have the cord, they're phenomenal. But they do have a corded version of this as well that is cheaper. So I'll link that down in the description for you guys. I'll also link in some other less expensive polishers, things that have been on Amazon. Great for the beginner, not great for the professional, because I don't know how long they're gonna last if you're using them day in and day out. Good as a backup though, but there's some polishers you can get for like $100, even battery powered ones. So I'll link those in the description as well for you guys, but highly recommend if you're just getting into polishing, the DIY detail polish combo and pads. It's really easy. You don't have to second guess, oh, should I use this pad with this polish, this, you know, it's very simple. For me, I always say, start with the least aggressive method first. If you're polishing your car, really, I wouldn't start with the red. It's just very soft. You're not gonna get a lot done. It's great for applying waxes and things like that. But start with the yellow pad. If it's not getting enough, switch over to the wool pad, see what that is, and then even in some cases, it still finishes out very well. So then you can decide, do you want to go this only, or you want to finish here, or go to the red pad? It's up to you, but you judge that on the results you're seeing. It's very simple process, very simple system to use. So fantastic deal there. Again, the Koch Chemie stuff, phenomenal as well. The Rupes stuff, I don't use a ton. I used to use a lot of it. I used to use a lot of their pads specifically, their DA pads. But I've been using, because I switched over to the Koch Chemie compounds and polishes and things, I've been using their pads. They pair up amazingly well. Really high end, really nice stuff. But man, again, now that I've been using the DIY stuff, it's great. It's absolutely fantastic. So especially for the beginner, that's probably the easiest way to get into it. Detailing is a complete rabbit hole. You can go extremely deep, but start off with something like this. It's gonna make your life so much easier. And even for the professional guys, limiting what you have to carry, and like I'm mobile, limiting what I have to carry in my truck is valuable, right? Space is limited. I can just have gold standard polish, and then have the pads. I can have the wool pad and all that kind of stuff, and really dial everything into what I need. So that's it for today's video, guys. I hope that video helps you. I know there wasn't a lot of hands-on stuff, just more kind of, you know, talking, but hopefully that translates and helps you guys gain a little more confidence. For those of you that have never polished a car, get out there and do it. It's not hard, especially when you're using a DA. You have to want to mess up, right? Just you know, use common sense, and you should be good to go. So that is it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like the video, make sure you subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and we will see you guys on the next one.